Good day, sanibonani njani. My name is Umpumelelo Kamshengu Shabalala Uchaku Tongala Mavusa Mhlophe officer Nakuba Kena. So guys, on today's video, we are here in Empangeni. It is a town next to Richards Bay. As you can see from Durban, it's about 2 hours drive if you are not in a rush to get to the town of Empangeni. This is a town I'm pretty much well informed on, and that's because I am also from Empangeni. So I regard Empangeni as also my hometown because this is where my parents are from. This is where they do groceries. This is where they even worked before actually moving back to Durban. So my father used to work khona la Empangeni edrobheni. Ngeke ngisho ukuthi kephi, but then yeah, I just know everything about this town. And I also studied my lower levels from kindergarten up until primary school. So I know this town like I know myself. Another thing I could highlight maybe about Empangeni is the fact that actually this town hasn't developed in so many years, because even from a young age I remember these streets are still looking the same. Sanlam Center, which is like the main mall, and there hasn't been really much change when it comes to the development and infrastructure of Empangeni over the years. So I could judge them for that. We would love to see more high buildings and more businesses coming into the town and actually attracting more investments and development. So I have to admit to Wuti, the development of this town is pretty much slow. But then, like in any other town in South Africa, development be fasty, unless we look at Richards Bay, which is the neighboring town, because it has one of the biggest harbors. No Transnet, no Fosco, no RPM, no South 32. So they have a lot of like factories, things that deal with minerals, especially in Richards Bay. So it's bound to you're even more developed. And another thing I have to mention is that sometimes people from Richards Bay are moving towards Empangeni and actually buying property here, buying property closer to the rural side of Empangeni, because it's much closer to Empangeni and also closer to Richards Bay. So when it comes to those things, Empangeni is also I'd say infected by the development of Richards Bay. So Richards Bay has some good companies such as Ofosco, Hobel, South 32, RPM, Transnet, Mondi, Richards Bay Chemicals. So these companies are actually the companies that pay their employees a lot of money. So some of the employees, they do live in spaces of Empangeni and also surroundings, because it's not very close from Empangeni to actually go to Richards Bay. So you'd find that even in my own rural areas, a lot of my uncles, a lot of my relatives, they do work in Richards Bay and actually travel by their cars or by the bus, which can take maybe more than 30 minutes. So it's really not that far when it comes to these towns being apart and actually people sharing the goods and services of both these towns. So yeah, when you look at the property in the CBD of Empangeni, Lama Flats in Jala, Ngago Sanlam Center, you're looking at plus minus 400,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment. So it's not too bad in a way. When it comes to investments, and also you need to bear in mind the population of Empangeni, the services that are within the town of Empangeni. So if you may be buying apartments for rentals, you just need to be sure you're actually gonna have people who are gonna rent the space, maybe working as doctors, working as nurses from a garden clinic. There's also another hospital within the CBD of Empangeni. So we're just gonna drive by it actually as we take this road, and you go straight up on the right hand side, Pambili, you'd find the second hospital I'm speaking about. But then this is just the suburbs. This is where my father used to work, in one of the houses here. I just remember it's somewhere across Garden Clinic whenever he tells us. But then this is where he found his first job. I just know he was 10 years old and he was working as a garden boy during apartheid. From that house, he later moved to where Note 6 suburb is lana ke bamnika itrauma embi kabi. So that's another thing about our black parents, especially working under apartheid, is that most of them, they do have traumas when it comes to the experience working for the white man in South Africa. So he worked in one of Amajaliti here, and one day Uti, he was about 13 years old. They let a big dog almost bite him. Luckily, wavika textbook yesikole because he just came from school and he went to work after school when the dog attacked him. When esiyovula icala, they ended up shouting at him ukuthi why uyovulela omunye umlungu icala. So yeah, that is the situation in South Africa, especially under apartheid. So I'm just highlighting these things to actually tell you a story nyana. So when it comes to the history of South Africa, when it comes to the history of this town and everything, we're lucky and fortunate to have parents that actually inform us about these things. Singabi ignorant. So even though my kindergarten school was actually here, but these are just stories. Ubaba made sure he teaches us these things before we even go and meddle with these people, just to know their own mothers and fathers bangabantu abanjani. So we have to be aware. Ungabo forgive and forget njalo, and turn another chick and then they slap you again to forgive and forget. You just have to be aware of these things. When it comes to homes, buying properties here, as you can see, they have nice houses here. It's actually suburbs. We are gonna heading to Old Mealy and then Inyala Park, which is just across the road from here. So Inyala Park is also another suburb whereby they have some beautiful houses. You're looking at buying Old Meal land, 400,000 actually around this area, if you're just gonna buy land and maybe build a glow estate. But if you continue and want to buy a home, Lana, you're looking at 1 million and going up. Those are the cheapest houses you can actually find in this area. And another good thing, if you actually buy a house closer, maybe to this side of Inyala Park, you do have a high school over here. You do have Empangeni High on the other side of Inyala Park. So kunane St. Catherine's not too far from here. Kunesiyakhanyisa just on the far end ngaphesheya kwaleyo yamoba. There's a smaller nyana township nyana over there. There is a primary school called Isiyakhanyisa. These are one of the cheapest schools you find here in Empangeni CBD. So go by Old Mealy and then go by Isiyakhanyisa, and then on the outer skirts you have Idova Farm School, which actually starts from grade 1 up until grade 12. So these are just some of the schools that you can find in the area if you want to maybe live around the CBD and you don't want to pay thousands for Empangeni High. You just want to look for a cheap, affordable school. So this is it. This is Inyala Park. So some of the houses here, they start score 1.1 million, because I saw one for 1,080,000. It wasn't too bad, but it's one of the proper houses that actually has everything well maintained, cleaned. It's actually going for 1.5. So I'd actually buy that house if I only knew what maybe I'm coming to live back in Empangeni full time. So these are just some of the pictures of the houses that I'm speaking about. So yeah, if you want to maybe come and live in this area, I highly recommend it. As you can see, these suburbs, they pretty look much like Durban North. They're not too busy. They still well maintained. You are born maspalia trees. You can still tell abantu who actually work and own these apartments or these houses are actually taking care of them. So yeah, this is just some of the things I wanted to highlight in Bafetu when it comes to maybe buying izindlu here in Empangeni CBD. So yeah. So yeah, Bafetu, to understand the history of Empangeni, you'd need to understand the whole history of KwaZulu-Natal and the Zulu Kingdom, and to understand the Umhlaba or the establishments of Empangeni and Richards Bay, who are the rightful owners, where does the history of that come from, of this town, why is it called Empangeni, when was it called Empangeni. You need to understand the history of South Africa. The settlers came in the Cape Colony and discovered, because they like discovering, but they discovered ukuthi there was also people already in the country. But then, enough about being political and historical. But in a way, you just have to understand ukuthi this whole region of Empangeni was under the Zulu Kingdom. Sengaba kama-chief ukuthi kwakuyi-chief yakasibanibane ephethe le ndawo. As you'll know ukuthi kuna indawo ezayiphethwe uDingani. uDingani is one of the greatest kings after Ushaka. He's one of the people who actually assisted in assassinating Ushaka, whom is the greatest Zulu king or African king for that sake, because he is very well known for many things, his tactics, and also being actually spiritually gifted, because there is no way that man was just a man by himself, but he was also sent by abantu beZulu to do what he had done, and maybe impacted the whole Zulu nation to what it is today. But then, Ushaka was then killed in 1828, kwaphatha uDingani afterwards. Ilapho kwakufika the British and also the Boers. That's when the history of the Great Trek took place, whom had formed a relation with Umpande, whom was also the Zulu king later on after Umpande esecishe uDingane lapha. So these are just some of the kings and the history of this country, especially in this whole region. When you look at Umfolozi, uzuhambi ufika ko-Drakensberg, uthukela. So the borders of the nation of the Zulu kingdom were mostly used by the rivers, ukuthi okay, wena kusukela kuthukela uzoyovala kuMfolozi kuphethe usibanibani. So these were just some of the things before abelungu befike. African kingdoms were ruling in these areas, and that is why you find even today you would see there are still a lot of people, especially in the area of Empangeni, abakudla noMfolozi, abakudla nothukela, hlezi kuthiwa ke Empangeni ngaphesheya kothukela. These are just all the things kwakhona nomthetho laphana under uDingiswayo. One of the good things is that you actually do find the history of these places, especially because they do make movies such as Ushaka Zulu, the one that was recently released as as a series. So you actually get some of the insights and some of the history facts here and there, especially in those movies. If you do not like reading, uzuyofunda ngomzimkhulu river, those are all the things that you need to understand ukuthi kusukela kumzimkhulu river yekuthukela uzuyofika ko-Drakensberg kwakuphethe ba. So these are just some of the things that I'd like to highlight before actually speaking about Empangeni and how it was established later on, not in the 1800s, but rather in the 1960s, whereby it was declared a town. The present town actually was actually established in 1931, but uhulumeni ubandlululo declared it a town ngabo 1960. Le ndawo ke it was good for cattle raising, later on Okamchini, later on kwaba the sugar industry in the whole Zululand region. So you'd find that actually even today when you're driving from Durban to Empangeni, you're going to find a lot of timber, you're going to find Okamchini lapha, you're going to find a lot of the sugar industry. So these are just some of the motivations to the development of this whole area. It was actually good in this sector. So enough about the history, and actually know what Empangeni was formed in 1960 and declared a town by then. But then today, this is the Empangeni I'd like to actually show you guys. A lot of people are living here and are actually making a good living for themselves, and they actually developed. The next video I'll be doing is one of the rural areas which is very close to Empangeni. Same as that rural area, I know it like I know myself because I grew around that area, and it's actually amazing to witness ukuthi the rural area whereby sasikhula silusa inkomo. Today you'd actually see development. Today you're actually seeing a lot of infrastructure developments, a lot of roads are being established, and a lot of people buying land, moving into the area and building beautiful houses that look better than our suburbs. So do stay tuned. I will be uploading that video very soon, Bafethu, just to show you what's Empangeni since in Jan. But then, yeah, this is a five-ways mall. This is one of the malls they have here in Empangeni, besides the Sanlam Center. I don't know why they call it a mall, because it's just a small it's a shopping center. But then, yeah, it's a mall anyway. It's not bad. Well designed. You do have major shop like Ospa inside, and then go nama outlets. I think uno spare unando see. So it's not too bad when it comes to just doing what it has to do. Yeah, you're gonna have a good time. This is where I mostly do groceries, especially after driving from Empangeni. As you can see right now, we had a stop Kona Life Ways. That's because I was doing some grocery shopping and then had to head back Ekaya because someone is actually building something back at home. But then, yeah, that is also going to be on the following videos. That just trying to show you guys ukuthi siphila kanjani, sisebenza kanjani, and actually motivates abantu who want to maybe go and work abroad, try and find means, develop their lives, and so on. So, yeah, bafethu, we are heading now towards Empangeni High. Empangeni High, I do have a lot of friends that actually attended school in Empangeni High. That is because most of the people who study Empangeni High is actually students from Empangeni Prep. So Empangeni Prep before I left back for Durban back in 2006. So shout out to anyone who was actually in Empangeni Prep from 2000, 2001 up until 2005. That is actually when I left Empangeni Prep. I also know it is the same year the former principal, I think it was Miss Ragling, principal. We left in the same year because I remember the last assembly as it was late yesterday because there was also my last assembly. Naya, she was also leaving the school. But then, yeah, so this is Empangeni High on the left. I always say this is one of the greatest schools in KZN. This school, you can actually go head to head and actually debate what's it's better than No Glenwood in Durban, it's better than Westville Boys, it's better than DHS, it's better than Northwood. One, you can just actually see what's from the road, the grounds, and then I'm a believe so when it comes to maybe the area and the space of the school, it's already big. As you can see how big the school is. I'm a grounded, there's grounds within the school and also across the school. So when you find Wusi, most of the schools in Empangeni, especially former Model C schools, they do have a lot of space. They do have a lot of maybe infrastructure developments, and they actually have room to grow even beyond what they are because they have a lot of space and area. And also another thing, Wusi, they are very cheap compared to schools in Durban. So that is one thing I do love about Empangeni and its surrounding and the schools in Empangeni, because you'd find Wusi, if Empangeni High was actually a school in Durban, it was probably going to cost 2 times more the school fees. I also think maybe Nanowood down again, and Etegwini is bigger than Empangeni. So these things kind of maybe affect the output of my school fees and so on. But then, yeah, we are heading to Empangeni Prep on this road. This is where I also attended my primary school. Lala Empangeni Prep, I really enjoyed my primary years, especially here in Empangeni Prep, because this school actually taught me a lot about maybe sports, because I grew up loving sports. My nickname used to be Usta back in primary school, especially like Empangeni Prep, because I was a star in almost everything, whether it's rugby season, whether it's cricket season, whether it's running, athletics, football. When it comes to sports. So as a result, I grew up knowing how to play a lot of sports. So this is because this is a school that developed me in a way to be able to do those things. So yeah, a lot has changed. I saw saying that in a shelter like a car park. This is where you used to wait for imoto after school. Yabona sebekhandela in a shelter, saying the security. You see here there's chairs, and right over there where we holo lelia. My grade 5 class was actually the second class from the one at the back, lapa little lapa. That was the last class I attended, and this one close to the road called music class, I think. Lana kwakuma-room kwakuhlala sports equipment. Some of the rooms kwakuhlala abasebenzi lawala, especially the ones after the gate. I do remember ukuthi kwakuhlala abasebenzi. Lily Gate, it actually leads you to the hostel, so it's also a boarding school. So if you want to send your child maybe into a proper boarding school, you can actually send them to Empangeni Prep, and later on ubayise Empangeni High or Eshowe High School, which is also not too far from Empangeni. But then yeah, bafethu, this is the last suburbs I'm going to be showing you, and then we're going to be making our way back to Emakhaya. That is when I'm actually going to be showing you the next video of the rural developments that I want to show you guys. The video that I'm going to be making, I'm going to be speaking about how to acquire property or land in rural areas and actually build your dream houses over there. I was just showing you Empangeni and the possibilities yokuthi if uzosebenza kuleli dolobha, what are you going to see. And maybe if you want to live within Empangeni, it just take you on the neighborhood, ubuka ama-suburbs, ubuka ama-flats ukuthi akanjani isimo sawo. So it's really not bad. When it comes to crime, especially in Empangeni CBD, I do not know much, especially in the CBD area when it comes to crime and so on. Maybe zindlu, house robberies and so on. I do not know those things, especially in the CBD of Empangeni. But then as far as just driving around and seeing what it's quiet, I believe it's pretty much safe. Wawubona ke nama-security ambalwa here and there, uyayibona nalaba bayijolela ngazi ukuthi nomshuthi yabo. But then yeah, bafethu, do check out this place. Do come maybe live in Empangeni. Actually, I do have my followers even go America. Umuntu from America actually inboxing you, asking questions, how to acquire land and so on. So yeah, this is also possible for them if they want to move lana eSouth Africa. Sengisho-ke laba bangabafowethu yabo, siyaba-encourage ukuthi bebuye ekhaya. But then yeah, please do remember to like, subscribe, comment down, ask anything. This is Chow. I am done for this video. This is the last school that we're gonna be heading to, that I would show you guys. This is the last suburbs within Empangeni. Some of the townships in the nearby area, you do have Ingwelezane Township, which is not too far from here. Buma 15 minutes drive or usufikile Ingwelezane. I actually did a video on Ingwelezane. Nakhona futhi kuzoba ne-project ezoza yasengwelezane that I will be taking you guys through, just to maybe try and educate some of the investments one can do as a young South African, especially in the townships. So yeah, do stay tuned, bafethu. This is isikole samabhunu esikhona ke la. I remember playing this school ukuthi we would make sure we have to beat them at all cost. But then yeah, bafethu, I'm out. This is Ingwelezane that I'm going to be showing you, or you have seen in some of the videos, but there is a project that's going to be happening in Ingwelezane, and I will be showing you guys in due time. Some of another townships, Kuneskaweni, which is also closer to Richards Bay. Iskawi, I actually didn't do a video to show you guys Iskawi, but next time I actually travel back to South Africa, do stay tuned. I'm gonna go to Iskawini, and this time I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna try go to the townships and actually maybe taste ukudla kwasekasi, the lifestyle in the townships, the businesses in the townships. So those are just some of the videos that I'm gonna be throwing you guys after this journey that I'm going through. But then yeah, bafethu, I'm out. Do take care. Danko. Thank you for the support.